A very good evening to one and all. I, Namrata Kumari, Student Manager, Balaji Institute of Modern Management, feel privileged to introduce to you Mr. Nilesh Gandhi, Managing Director at Third Eye. Third Eye is a data analytics consultancy firm with offices in San Francisco and Vienna, USA, and Pune and Hyderabad in India. Mr. Nilesh holds a bachelor's degree in engineering from Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune, a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Cincinnati, USA, and he was PMP certified in the year 2008. At Third Eye, he is responsible for strategic planning and growth, managing of delivery and operations, and building a motivated team of analytic experts for quality delivery across the globe. He has over 20 years of experience in operations and distributed delivery management, software development lifecycle, project management, and analytics and business intelligence. Before becoming a partner at Third Eye, he held senior positions in business intelligence companies in India as well as in the United States. He has also started and led a technology consulting firm in USA. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Nilesh Gandhi to address the gathering. So, we are all excited to hear from you. The dais is all yours.
Thanks, really thanks for the warm welcome. Right from the time I parked my car to here, it's been a very pleasing experience. Not used to this. Thank you all. So your conference title is Challenges and Opportunity in the Emerging Business Environment. So I thought I'll be talking about some of the emerging business trends and the challenges and opportunities in the digital world. While talking to Archana just back there, she talked about a few other things that I should be talking about. So what I'll do is I'll just cater my talk to that. Any questions, we can hold off to the later part of the talk. Okay. So as you know, just a little bit of, so second year, first year and second year, all students here, right? From all the four MBA colleges here? Okay. Only BIMM, okay. Okay. So just a little bit about myself first. That's what Archana asked me to do. So I did my mechanical engineering in VIT. I had got admission in MIT as well. For two reasons, I went to MIT for the first couple of days. Two reasons I decided to go to VIT. One, it was a little far. And the first day I went there were three Nilesh Gandhis in my class. So I said, no, I need to go be different, and I went to VIT. I did my master's in mechanical engineering as well, but I always knew I wanted to come back to India. And at that time, software was in boom. They were talking about computers taking over everything. And I said, okay, if I want to go back to India, software is becoming big. Let me take some courses. Let me adapt. You heard Mr. Venugopal talk about adapting. So I was doing my master's in mechanical engineering. I took software courses and moved to software. My first job was in MicroStrategy. I was doing quality assurance, quality engineering. A lot of people join our company. Everybody says, we want to be in IT, we want to do development work. Nobody wants to do QA work. And I tell them my story, right? So I was QA for the first 2-3 years. Then I got an opportunity, or maybe I worked to move into beta consulting, and that is where I had to go visit client sites. And I was able to visit various countries. I went to Australia, I went to Germany, I went to various cities within USA, and interacted with customers to learn a lot more about the product. After that, since I wanted to move back to India, I did consulting as well. I was very new to consulting, but I just took that risk. After about 8-9 years of experience in QA and beta consulting, I moved into analytics consulting. Came back to India. I am a Puneite, but I moved to Nagpur, and my friends used to ask me, why Nagpur? You are in US. First of all, why did you even come to India? And then, of all places, why Nagpur? I got an opportunity to work with a small company, which was doing business intelligence and analytics at that time. I was able to learn a lot more with a small company. that I was able to start my own company about 6 years back. I partnered with a US firm, we US partners, and that's how we started. 6 years, been growing year over year, focused initially on business intelligence. Now we also work on data analytics. Why? Again, the same reason, right? You need to innovate, you need to run with the times. Times are changing. We started working on different technologies, doing, how many of you understand business intelligence, data analytics here? I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but some of you. Okay. So business intelligence was what came up initially, right? 5 years or 10 years back, everybody used to talk about BI. Now everybody talks, maybe 3 years back, everybody started talking about data analytics, and those are the most jobs. Now everybody's talking about AI and ML, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, and maybe some of you are concerned, and I talked about a few that jobs are going to go away. But really, I think during my time when I graduated or did my bachelor's and before going for master's, I had a job with Bajaj Tempo for like 7,000 rupees a month. And now, there's so many opportunities now, right? So from then to now, there's just so many opportunities now. So first thing, you need not be worried. We ourselves always struggle to find good people. And just other thing before I continue my talk is, because the conversation I had with Archana again is, a lot of you fear that AI, automation, all is going to take away jobs, but not really. That's what people used to talk about, and Mr. Venugopal referred to it, right? When computers was coming in, the same talk was there, right? Computers is going to take away jobs. And you know how many jobs there are in software now. That's what is actually uplifted India, the imports, the exports, sorry. The same thing is going to happen. In fact, you'll hear a little bit more about that in my later talk also. The industry, the education industry, like what you are doing at BIMM, getting all the industries, and the government is already proactively taking steps to address this skill set. So if AI is coming in, they are working towards the Digital India initiative, the building the skill sets for AI and all that. So I think we are in pretty good shape. Nobody needs to worry. So that's a little bit about me. About Third Eye, as we heard, we are into business intelligence, data analytics consultancy. So we are into services firm. We work across all domains. So we work across, we heard about retail earlier. We work with manufacturing. We work with education. We work with all the healthcare, all different fields, and provide analytics services to them. Okay, so something which I was talking about, right? From ancient world to information age, things are changing fast. Hunter-gatherers, millions of years, we were just doing hunting. Then came the agriculture age, which was there for thousands of years. Industrial age lasted a few centuries. And now we are in the information age, been there for a few decades. What's next? We talk about the augmented age. I'm not going to go into details. I'm sure you've heard. Only thing I'll mention here is what's going to happen, what I think is humans, along with whatever new technology we are talking about, be it AI, be it ML, be it robotics, we are just going to be able to do much more than what a human was able to do earlier. And all these new technologies are going to augment us to do that, okay? Be it thinking beyond what we can think right now, connecting the dots beyond what we are doing right now, or physically doing things which a human couldn't probably do, a robot could come and help. Similarly, we talked about how with coming times, things are moving really fast. Similarly, in the information age, if you see, how long did it take to reach 50 million users, right? So if you look at the telephones, it took about 78 years. Can everybody see the screen here? Okay. Then came the radio, about half of that time. Then came the TV, right? I can't see it, but 13 or 14 years, right? So the point of this thing is, as the new technologies come in, things change really fast. And So I had a question earlier during the interview that how do you really prepare yourself? Are the education institute preparing yourself for what's coming in the age? But things are really fast, right? So I don't even know what's going to come next. So what do you prepare? So I'll talk about that a little bit. But one point to note here is now the latest, how many heard of that Chew Macam on the Starbucks lady? How many saw that video? 24 hours, it got a 50 million views. Nobody saw that here? But in US, all across the other country, a lady just put on a mask and she was laughing and she put it on Facebook Live, and within 24 hours, it got like 50 million views. She got invited, she got multiple awards, she got free Disneyland tickets and multiple different things that she got. Point is, you talk, again, Venugopal talked about the mobile things, how things really are moving fast, how technology is helping, that's what is happening now. Let me quickly show this video, the same theme. Just a 1 minute video. So I'm just stopping it here because I heard earlier, right, you are worried about your jobs. Maybe another thing you're worried about is finding your love. So. So we talked about the evolution of the way we work, the different ages. We had PC before Christ, AD, Anno Domino. How many of you know what BG stands for? Before Google, right? So things have changing. What I wanted to talk about is the trend shaping the digital India. I'll quickly go over some of those things. These are my thoughts. There are a lot more things beyond what you'll see here, but we'll talk about the challenges, opportunities in how the things are changing, and especially for the next couple of years in India and in the digital India. So we already heard about this, mobile first consumption. In the media, so a lot of people now are already using their smartphones for consumption of any entertainment, right? So TV, 95% of the households have only one TV at home now. And they have like multiple smartphones. Everybody's using smartphones for entertainment. The gaming, same thing. In fact, the gaming and entertainment industry in the digital India is going to like quadruple in the next 5 years. And so if that is happening, what's the challenge and opportunity there, right? So if everybody started using the mobile, you've already heard that it's going to become a new channel for acquiring customers, engaging them, and outreach. And every company, and not just the IT companies, every company needs to make sure they make use of that channel. The subscription base, you've already heard Netflix, Amazon, all these have come up. I stopped my Tata Sky a long time back, and I'm using Netflix and Amazon Prime. They are building their own content now, and everybody's using that, right? So similarly, advertisement revenue on video on demand is increasing. Regional content. So the next, how do we get the next 100 to 200 million users? We already have, I think, 50% of the users on mobile, but there's a challenge for getting the next set of users. And that brings me to our next topic, the Indian language internet users. So how many do you think are Hindi speaking or people who would prefer to use mobile phone or any content in Hindi? Any guesses? $500 million users in India, and I'm just talking about India, right? How many do you think users use the English language as of today? About 175 million. So just there, right? 500 million, so there's a huge opportunity there. The other Indian languages, so Hindi is one, right? But there are so many other Indian languages. There are almost 500 million users that want to use internet in their language or any of these services. And especially now the next growth is going to be coming from the smaller towns, the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, the smaller towns, and people who want to use this. So what the companies need to focus on is building the regional language content. They really need to make sure that the experience they give to English language users, they can give that to any person who's using a regional language. So the government is already rolling out, so railway tickets can be bought in that regional language. Any services the government offers needs to be in regional language to be able to expand. Similarly, Flipkart, how many of you heard Flipkart has bought liv.ai? What does liv.ai do? It's not, okay, more than AI startup, what is it? What AI does it do? So they've built, so they translate speech to text into of Indian languages. So they've built speech to text for 10 Indian languages. So the reason Flipkart has bought liv.ai, because they want to get the next 100 to 200 million users by a couple of different ways. One way is building their sites in the regional languages, and that's where they have liv.ai. Okay? Same thing Amazon is doing with Amazon Alexa. So that's the main reason they've got liv.ai. Similarly, regional, all the Netflix and all, they're also building content in the regional languages. So it's going to be really important, two things. We generally are not aware, we are all English users, but there's a big demand and a lot, maybe 4 times more the users than English language users for the Indian language and Hindi language users. And everybody is really pushing to get that customer base. Okay. Next, I want to talk about the trend which is coming up. So we talked about mobile first, which most of us already knew about. We talked about the regional language, which people kind of don't know, but it's really important. The next thing is the social and content-based commerce, which is really picking up. One of the things you just heard, the Twitter example is kind of that example, right? How we are able to reach out to customers using the social media. But even beyond that, what is happening is, how many of you have heard of Pune Eatouts here? Or Zomato kind of started, was a community of food lovers where people used to give reviews and all, and now they've started a business around it. They captured all the data, and now you can do bookings, and they have started their delivery and all that, right? So really it was a food community that came together, and now they've started a business model around it. Similarly, Pune Eatouts is where people from diverse background, different cultures, from different areas in Pune come together and join that group, and then you get trusted reviews. So you more likely are going to trust that and give business and to any restaurant you go to. I'm part of a Pune running community. So I normally run 4 to 5 days a week. And Pune running started about 5 years back with 3 people. Reason was somebody liked a t-shirt the other person was wearing, and they got connected and they started Pune running. Today it's a group of some 28,000 Pune running enthusiasts in Pune. And that community has been able to get a lot more people to run different events, including marathon, sell a lot of sports apparel, and get a lot of leads for any fitness-related activities. Fitbit has a similar concept. I wear the Fitbit band. I don't know how many of you have here. And then they're able to build a consolidated marketplace using the social media and user contributions. So that's a trend that definitely coming up. We talked about a couple examples where it's coming out of the food and beverages, but just some of the other areas where really this is picking up, and especially in the women fashion, the women beauty products are really picking up there. Am I coming in the way? Or? Okay. So next thing, ecosystems. How many of you know of this? How many of you use Ola? Anybody use Ola with all the entertainment within Ola? Right. So they tied up with a major telecom company. So what is happening is ecosystems being built. Right? All these digital players are trying to build their business by providing end-to-end ecosystem, right? A user, they want, once the user comes in, they want to provide as much to the user as much as possible. Let's take an example again of Ola itself. So Ola, okay, they tied up and are providing that entertainment. Recently, they also invested in a, so first they added the auto, right? They always had the taxi, they added the auto. Then they recently added the bikes, right? So once a customer comes in, no matter what they want to use, they want them to be on their platform. Ola also had that food or grocery delivery that they're thinking of, right? Or Uber Eats definitely is there, right? Similarly, so that's adding services. They also have Ola Money, so they integrated the payment channel as well. So they're expanding, so they're giving one package, then they're also getting everything that they need within their ecosystem. So the payment wallet, the payment thing, and similarly, Amazon has their Amazon, what is it called? Some Amazon Pay or something. Flipkart has Phone Pay, they bought Phone Pay. So everybody's doing that. And on the back end, somebody was just asking a question about all these companies investing huge in logistics, right? So they're building their logistics. They already are doing e-commerce, selling stuff, and they're building the payment. They're adding services, investing. Amazon, in fact, you know what they did, right? AWS, how many are using AWS cloud? So they went into infrastructure services also. They use infrastructure, they build the infrastructure for themselves, and they're selling that as well. So entire ecosystem, winners are building. So single platform, various services, that just helps them improve the lifetime value. Once a customer comes on a platform, they'll stay with that platform. And you can do it small scale, big scale, right? You don't have to be Flipkarts and Amazons of the world, but even at a small scale, you can start doing it. So Ola started by adding taxis and some other things. Similarly, there are smaller companies which are doing the thing. Next thing you heard about some part of it. You heard the retail 1, retail 2, and retail 3. So alternate commerce is really talking about two things, omni-channel and assisted commerce. Let me expand a little bit on omni-channel. So omni-channel, initially there was just pop and mom store. You heard that a customer had to go to a Kirana store to buy whatever he wants and just take whatever is there. Now we have to go to the customer. And we started with the e-commerce. Now, if you think of Lenskart example, Lenskart started retail store. First they started online, now they started retail, and they were just able to suddenly expand. Walmart, Flipkart combination, similar thing, right? So now the retail 3.0 is already here, right? Where it's a combination of an online store going offline, offline store going online, right? Walmart bought Jet, Amazon bought Whole Foods. And maybe you've said, right, Amazon, if you try and go, now you can ship it to a local store also. So that's the example of assisted commerce. So omni-channel is brick and mortar and online, and assisted commerce, which is already coming, is bringing together the offline buyers. So if you go to a smaller town, they don't trust the online channel as yet. All right? They still go to their local trusted partner, vendor, merchant, that could be a local kirana store. What assisted commerce does is they'll put an app together and they'll make sure the person who goes to that store can order anything they want through that app. Okay, and now I'll give you a couple examples where that is happening as well. So you can go and order anything they want through that local kirana store. So let's say you're in a small town, you go to your kirana store, you can go use that online channel there, buy anything you want, and then it will get shipped to your home or to that store where you can pick it up from. So the advantage of that is multiple things, right? So you're going to your local or trusted person. You're able to get the reach of the entire online marketplace, and the online marketplace is able to connect to all these different users and grow. Bajaj Alliance is already using that model. They have like at various small towns, they have like a representative of that village where they are selling insurance, and they're calling them as a virtual center. So that's kind of the assisted commerce. There are a lot of startups which have started offering that service also, that they'll have in various different small towns, places where a retail vendor could go and give their app and then deliver that. So assisted commerce, Amazon is shipping to local stores. So if you go, right, you can ship it to any of the addresses, or you can ship to local stores. So that has already started. So Amazon doing that, Bajaj Alliance, and various. There are actually in smaller towns, there are a lot of networks of the women, Gramin, Women Sabha, and a lot of people I know, a lot of people were doing this solar business, and they were giving their products to these networks to be able to enhance their distribution channel and sell a lot more. So that's one of the other things that is coming up really fast in the next 1 year. Along with that, the few emerging sectors which I want to quickly touch base on, the health technology. How many of you heard of the Microsoft and Apollo Hospitals partnership recently? So, and this is not just happening just Microsoft, right? So they just tied up, what they did is they just tied up with Apollo to get all the data of various retinal scans and using machine learning algorithms to be able to identify any risk of cardiovascular diseases. So doctors normally do it, but doctors can do it only with limited data, right? With the use of machines, they were able to look at hundreds of thousands of data to be able to better predict the risk. And in fact, with that, they were able to predict any risk cases and admissions to hospital about 24 to 48 hours before it actually happened, just improving there on the healthcare. Other thing which is happening, and maybe some of you have used, is online commerce for healthcare. I have bought some of the medicine I need from online. Similarly, some of you probably use Practo to connect to doctors, test. So that is also coming up really fast. Remote monitoring, that is happening, right? So for older patients, they're putting some devices where, and then tracking all the information from remotely to be able to, again, just give a faster service, ensure safety of the patients, and just improve the entire healthcare in general. The challenges there, though, is the budget for IT is typically quite small. They don't have the IT infrastructure. Doctors don't want to use IT, or they're just slow to adopt it. So challenges are there, but therein lies opportunity. And last year, I think 2017, I read that there are about like 320 startups which came up in healthcare compared to some 250 in 2016. So definitely growing there, and investments also growing. So a lot of demand coming up there. Agri-tech, that's another thing. So how much percentage of our population is agriculture or work as farmers? And that's going down, right? So big need. Our population, the need of resources is really much more, and so we need a lot of productivity there. A lot of technology is required. Again, the challenges similar to health tech, lack of awareness. People don't want to spend on infrastructure or IT. But the good part is, with the government initiatives for digital literacy, for the agriculture sector, for the digital initiative, it is really boosting the agri spend. Some of the things which are happening already are, at a high level, farmers directly being able to sell through online channels to the end consumers, removing that middleman. So we heard earlier about removing the middleman. That is actually happening. In fact, there's one example, right? So a lot of you from Pune, right? So there was a farmer or a bunch of farmers who came together, created their social media page, and they were able to reach or sell their mangoes to a lot more locations across India than just in his local region, and just able to do a lot more business. Also, what he did is, he did everything in local languages. So he wanted to sell in a different state. He went to that state language, put a web page together, and was able to do it at his level. Similarly, the IoT, getting information of the various devices or the crops, how the crops are doing, is being monitored remotely, and people are taking advantage of making sure you have a quality product and improve the productivity there. A lot more things need to be done in agri-tech. A lot more startups are coming. Government is actually putting a lot of focus on funding agri-tech. NASSCOM, which is other organization of many IT or software companies, has created a big pool fund to again develop startups in agri-tech. Next is EdTech. I'm sure you've heard a lot about educational technology, right? So a lot of innovative solutions coming up there. Again, the technology is helping provide multiple things. One, access to everybody, a lot of people, providing quality education, because now it's able to connect people, like quality professionals from across different locations, across virtual classrooms. And much more important is with the new technologies, be it data analytics, be it AI, machine learning, we are able to provide personalized content to everybody at maybe less than half the cost of what you would have in a proper institute, right? So in fact, one of the challenger opportunities for an institute like Balaji is definitely make sure we invest in online education. Robotics, again, you've heard a lot. How many of you heard that a robot got a citizenship in Saudi Arabia? Right? I'm not going to delve much. I think you've heard a lot about robotics and all, so I'm going to skip this. Okay. Data analytics, so that's what we work on. So I'll spend a little bit time here. Have people seen this before? Okay. So let me start a simple example of how things have changed, right? So there was a shopkeeper who used to, actually this is something which one of my friends experienced. So there was a shopkeeper who used to come every day at 10 a.m., a fruit seller actually, at 10 a.m. to his street and sell fruits. He used to buy fruits from there. And after a couple of weeks, he saw that that fruit seller was not coming there. After a few days, he saw that fruit seller was in a different street and he was selling there. And he was surprised to see him there, and he asked him, why did he stop coming to that street and why is he moved there? So he said, for a couple of things. I saw there were two other shopkeepers or fruit sellers there, and I saw bigger cars in that other street, so that's where I moved, and I was able to double my business. Okay, so that was what a small fruit seller or a shopkeeper was doing earlier. Now we are collecting tons and tons of data. All right, Facebook, 4.1 million, how much is it? 4.1 million YouTube video watches. Facebook has some 5 million messages that are passed every minute. This is every minute. Now you're collecting so much data, and Facebook, for example, right? Data today, tomorrow is kind of old. So only about 5% of the data is really being analyzed. So there's a big need, first, for companies to extract, harness this data as much as possible, take that data, really build analytics around it to improve their customer outreach, provide personalized services, just because there's so much competition now, right? So you heard about IKEA, Hometown, all these coming up. What is one way you can really gain advantage, right? Make use of this data, understand your customer, right? Now you have the total entire digital identity of the customer that you know, right? Through the phone, you do 10 different things. You have all that data. You know probably, so you've already seen some of the examples, and that needs to be improved. Some of the examples are right. Sometimes, let's say you search for buying some phone, immediately on Facebook, you'll start seeing ads for Facebook, for a phone. That needs to improve though, right? So maybe you've already bought a phone or you're just looking for something else, but you need to really improve on top of it. So how do you really look at other data where maybe you can scan through your mobile SMSs and see that, oh, you've already purchased a phone, so you stop sending ads for phone and maybe use that data to give you something for a phone cover or a phone screen or some other thing, right? So that kind of technology is there now. It is happening, personalized, providing, just improving on whatever is being done as personalized marketing. Go to that next level where you really understand what the customer has done, not just searched on Google, mobile phone search on Google, but if he's actually bought and what next he could be doing. In fact, I heard that what Amazon did, so Amazon is, by the way, pioneer in data analytics in the retail industry especially, right? So you've already seen now, and it's all across where if somebody buys something, what are the other customers have bought, that you've already seen. What are most customers most likely to buy, and then you quickly go and that really help them increase their sales. What now Amazon is doing is, let's say you buy a shirt which is yellow color, based on your earlier choices, and since you have bought a shirt, they're just shipping 3 pairs of pants to your place, and then you can choose and keep one or send it back. So that's the level they're going with using data. Just quickly skip through. Again, something we've heard of, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, all. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Only thing I want to say here is the Indian government is already putting or invested, I think, about 3,000 crores to build these skill set in India. So far, we've heard of Israel and US obviously really doing well in artificial intelligence, but I see that coming as the next wave after IT for India, creating a lot of jobs. In digital payments, again, so we are lucky to be in this world where not only companies or organizations outside India are building these online channels or payment gateways, but a lot of companies in India, including government, right? So you heard of the BIMM app and all, which is developed by government and then consortium of banks and all. So in short, change is inevitable. We are preparing for something in future that we don't know what's coming, using technologies that we haven't been invented, or we don't know what problems we are going to solve. But not to be worried, so far you've seen the different ages from millions of years, the computer age, the information age. We've always almost improved the work or life for everybody with lot more opportunities and lot more jobs. What we need to focus on is really these things, right? Of course, whenever changes come, we need to adapt. All those things are there. You'll definitely be able to take care. But really, whatever we work on, work hard. I heard a few things from Balaji: determination, dedication, and discipline. So really important that if you work with discipline, with determination, no matter what new thing comes, I'm sure you'll be able to take that on, right? So a couple of my examples you've already heard, right? So from mechanical engineering to software to running a business, from quality assurance to data analytics, completely different from mechanical. I ran a marathon last year. I started running 4 years. I couldn't even run 1 kilometer. Now I can do marathons. All that is possible with these things. So one of the things we always tell our people is less drama, more productivity. 365 days working is really good. It will just prepare you much more for the future. Pay attention to details, ask questions, keep learning. I think that's going to be more important than anything else. And one more thing, right? Since these technologies don't really focus too much on technologies, R, Python, all that will come and go. R, Python, you're hearing this for the last 1 year or 2 years mostly, right? Before that, it was something else, right? We work, we constantly have to adapt, really focus on understanding the business. How, and MBA, I think, really prepares for you the retail, right? What retail one is, what does the traditional retail look like? What is involved in retail? How does that business work? Be it manufacturing, be it retail, be it healthcare, really go to the core basics, understand the business, and then you'll be able to contribute to any of these fields. Technology is just something which you can quickly learn, so don't worry about that. Be honest about what you don't know, so that's very important. I see a lot of people that talk about, especially in the interviews, that they'll try to fake. So don't do that. You are good in certain things. Focus on those things. Finally, so I read a lot of business standard. I know you take Economic Times. Just some of the trends for you. So all these things are like news in the last 1 or 2 months. So what I would focus on, what omni-channel means, right? I wouldn't, or how do I go to other languages? I wouldn't worry too much about should I be using R, should I be using Java or React Native, or don't worry about those. Focus on what's happening in the business world. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
I'm Swapnil.
So it will change things. I don't think it's going to affect, because I don't think we can live without it. So for example, right, so US already had their data privacy laws. Europe already came up with GDPR. That has already, and then now India is going to come up with this data privacy laws. So that has not really changed the growth of data analytics, definitely not. Yes, you have to make a few changes on how you collect, you have to really report on things, but this is not going to go away. So for example, let me give you another example, right? So in India, this is an Indian example, right? We work with, how many of you have heard of telematics here? So telematics is now all the automobile companies have an onboard diagnostic device. So these onboard diagnostic device can detect, because now most of the engines, everything is electronic. Next thing is going to be even like it's going to be a car on a laptop, but everything is electronic, so you can really understand what problem is there with the vehicle. So how that helps is with all that data, you can do a preventive maintenance, right? Before the car breakdown, based on the various data points you have from the engine, from your gearbox, all those things, you can kind of predict what's going to happen to your car, and you can get that fixed, right? So here, data privacy, no issues here. But with this OBD, you can also identify which gear the vehicle is being driven at. So that is helping get efficiency in driving and mileage efficiency, especially in India. So for example, if you drive, the more higher gear you drive, the better it is for the vehicle, the better fuel consumption you get. Now with this, you have GPS information, you have shift timing, which driver is driving. So you could really know which driver is driving that car and who's not efficient. So you could get to that, but you can mask that data. So what's going to happen is you can still be able to get data around how the vehicle is driven, but what you won't be able to do is identify that driver. But what you could do is with that data, you know what is happening, what are the typical failure points or the trainings that all the drivers could get to improve the efficiencies. Okay, just a small thing there with the telematics. I'll tell you. So people talk about how you can do preventive maintenance, and again that increases revenue, right? Because if you, Konduskar has actually implemented this, right? They have one dashboard, a couple of dashboards you saw in data analytics in their NOC center, where they monitor all their some 1,000 different vehicles, and the revenue for them is really the vehicle should be running most of the time, and that's how they increase their revenue, right? So if they are able to do a preventive maintenance and not have a breakdown just in between, then they are able to serve the customer better. Their revenues, their car is or their vehicle is always running, so they improve that. But what they were able to do is, along with this OBD device, there are fuel sensors now, so they can know how much fuel is stored in the vehicle or filled in the fuel tank. With that, and with the GPS information, they were able to kind of reduce the amount of diesel theft which happening, and which is a very common problem in India, not in other countries, but they were able to see how much bill they are getting for, again, data, match that data with the fuel sensor data, and stop a lakhs of loss of revenue. Okay, and then training, obviously, right? Increasing the mileage and all that. So that, again, telematics, devices, data is there, but the way you use data will be a little different. You'll still be able to get all the efficiency. Not identify that person, but yeah.
Good evening, sir. So here, first in the center.
In the center, okay.
So, yeah. Hi, good evening, sir. So my question is, what industry is looking from MBA in business analytics? Like in terms of programming language, Python is famous these days while handling big data and machine learning. But the data is increasing day by day, so we are moving towards Scala. We are using Scala language. So what you will recommend us to be prepared for before hitting the market?
Okay. So I won't really focus too much on technology, right? So make sure your core, right? So now, okay. So if we talk specifically about technology, and we being a technology company, let me address that, right? So be it Scala, be it R, Python, we are really looking for good programmers. Because, so I'll tell you, right? 3 months back, we didn't have as many Scala requirements as of today. 3 months back, right? I wouldn't be looking for a Scala developer 3 months back. Today, I'm getting like for React Native and Scala, so all these technologies. Am I going to be able to find those people? And I don't even know, right? 6 months down the line, am I going to need as many Scala developers or the R or Python developers? So really, be a good programmer. Java, .NET are the core. So if you know that, you'll be able to quickly pick up any, if you're talking about technology. Apart from technology, really what we need, again, as I said, is focus on the business. If you understand the business more, are able to contribute there, technology you can pick up.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. So here,
top.
in the center. Okay. So my name is Utkarsh,
Yeah.
and my question is related with blockchain. So as we know, like blockchain is mostly famous in Bitcoins. But recently, if you go with the news, government of India, they initiated the blockchain technology relating with going to use in agriculture, as well as some of the cases in like detection of fraud cases and the other things also. Like recently, the Telangana on 26th July, they said like they are going to implement blockchain in their system. So how, could you explain how these blockchain things is happening or working in this sector, like, detection of fraud or agriculture?
So I think one of the areas I've heard, so we don't work on blockchain yet, or we don't, but so all the banks, right? So what government and I think some 20 or some number of banks have come together to really track all the transactions together. So you know how blockchain works in short, right? So really it's a ledger which is shared across all the different organizations that is shared, right? So if a transaction happens in any place, everybody gets notified, everybody knows about that. So that's how the blockchain is one unified ledger which is shared across all organizations, which helps stop any fraud. So that's in short how blockchain helps. So banks are using it. Consortium of banks is come together to develop a blockchain for various transactions. I think what I've read is about insurance, especially the information. So there are two things, right? One is you have the information about a specific consumer who's trying to buy insurance, where he's bought earlier, if he has already bought, not bought, all that information is there. And then if there have been any cases that have happened in the past. So all that information together, if it's shared across, that will just help.
Yeah.
So really, I don't work so much on blockchain. So.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Sir, on your right. So, yeah, hi. So my name is Avish. I'm a marketing student. So one incident happened last year in Facebook's office. They were creating they had two chatbots there, named Alice and Bob. And the funny or rather creepy thing happened that those two AI chatbots, they started talking to each other in a new language. So basically they created a language after starting to negotiate for balls and as far as I remember flowers. And then they started talking in their own language, so Facebook had to abruptly shut it down. So sir, should we be wary of, so again it's a cliched question, should we be wary of an Armageddon of AI, which like, should we be, how does a coder or a programmer be wary of that?
Yeah. So definitely with any technology advances, right? So there are the positives and there is the negatives. I talked about mostly of the positives, but there are definitely, right? So we need to have a data privacy law enacted. We need to have regulation around any new technology, be it earlier you had heard about cloning,
Yes,
or now we're talking about the AI. Also, definitely there need to be regulations. There could be cases where recently you heard about the Cosmos Bank fraud. That is just because digital has been there online. We have been using this for a while. It is increasing, but this frauds happen, right? I don't know how many of you know, but 1 out of 4 is affected by a financial fraud today. That needs to go down. That part of it is our responsibility. We need to be more aware. Part of it is regulation. So yeah, there will be some issues, but once we have regulation, we have things in place. I think.
Sir, I think, but in this issue, the chatbots, they started talking on their own. So that's a weird thing. This is not programmed in them, and they started talking on their own.
So I'm not really heard of that case, and I don't have the details. But all I can say is some things like those could happen, right? So you're talking about negative, right? I have a couple of videos if you want to see. Boston Dynamics. How many have you seen the Boston Dynamics advances in robotics? You've seen? So they have a running robot now, and if you look at those robots, it's kind of scary. And there's another robot where they push down the robot and it stands up again. That's crazy stuff happening. And then, yeah, same thing could happen, right? So just like financial fraud, something like this could happen. But I think with the rest of the government, not just government, but the rest of the other world, I'm sure will make sure that.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. So at the top over here. So thank you for a very informative presentation, firstly, and we are grateful that you could share your time here. So I would like to know your views on evolution of data mining by the use of data science, strictly pertaining to sports management.
So data.
Sir, we need data mining, sir. How can we evolutionize data mining by the use of data science, and only for the field of sports management?
Post management. Okay. So no, I didn't really get your question. So you're saying, so how do I use data mining for?
So how can we use data science for sports management?
Post management.
Yes, sir. Sports management, like so finding key players or making strategies from the players' performance and recording it.
Acha. Okay. Course management. Okay. So data mining, right? So okay. So first, you need to understand what all data you could collect, right? So people taking different courses, people understanding how much time people are spending on these courses. Are they engaged enough? Course management, right? That's what I'm asking. Oh, sports. Okay, sorry. Okay. Sports management. Okay, so again, there are examples there. So we are working with a company called Arsenal. How many of you know of Arsenal, the club? Soccer analytics. Okay. So, so what we are doing for them is, so there are a lot of things. How many of you seen the movie Moneyball? Right, so Moneyball, there is all soccer analytics that they do, and that's what actually Arsenal does. So all these, what they do is they build teams. IPL auction is similar, right? So they build teams, they buy a person, and that is based on a lot of data that's come from how he's performed, how his health is, what his age, a number of different things. So that's the first thing. So you can use data mining to look at the data to understand which player you could be building a team. It could be cheaper players, but with the potential, and that's what Moneyball movie is about. Other thing is you could be looking at runtime statistics during the game to see how the opposite team and your team is playing. There are trackers now, so there are like trackers which are put on the back to understand how the player moves around, what is happening across the domain. That data is analyzed, mined to develop strategies for sports. So what we are doing is the initial part of getting all the player data and understanding which player could be a fit for Arsenal, and then looking at their performance across various games. So those are a couple of things that I can think of. And there are multiple other things that, if you have data, you can do.
Good evening.
I hope that answers your question, but yes, it's a long, I would say with data, you can do tons of things.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Sir, here in the middle.
Yeah.
So my question is, what are the major challenges faced by analytics people in Indian industry?
Lack of good talent, I think, was the first one. So really, and I'm sure you've heard from everybody, right? It's really difficult to find good people. And Archana mentioned you have 100% placement, so I don't think you should worry about it at all. So lack of talent is, I would say, first. Then, so data is coming, right? So there is, we talked about so much, I didn't go into the details, but there's so much data that is being captured, but hardly 5% is being analyzed to be able to get anything out of it. So, and that is because lack of infrastructure is one. Things are changing so fast, so you really need to be adapt or fast to the changing world, the business models. So, and take action based on that data. I think mainly lack of people, and then getting access to data and being able to analyze as much as possible. I think that's what is the most important.
And sir, what basically is the difference between a business analytics person and a data analyst?
Okay, that's similar, I think, right? So data, I think is the same. So data, when I say data, is the same word from my end. Yeah, so data is applied to business. So I call it data analytics. Here, I heard of business analytics. I mean, I talked to understand what the course covers is really R, Python, the business. So it's the same, I would say. Okay.
So as we all know, we are moving towards digital economy. And at the same time, digital data analytics is becoming very integral in the economy. So simultaneously, there are chances that there could be more data leaks and data breaches. So what, as a country, we can do to prevent it?
Okay, multiple things, right? So, and country is already doing it, I would say. So, first, government is already working towards regulations around data leaks. Upgrading, so security is another which I didn't mention here, but security in general against cyber attacks, against data leaks is something we really need to shore up, look at, and it is already happening. Apart from that, I think it's a lot more training, awareness for everybody because as I said, right, so 1 of 4 is getting affected by sharing of information by themselves, right? Somebody calls and you share your PIN number. So that is your personal information that you yourself are sharing. So at your own personal level, you need to be more aware about what you need to do with that data, and that could be if you're working with somebody else's data. Like in our company, we have training sessions to make sure they are not downloading or making use of any data. So that's at our company level. Putting all the framework to make sure that doesn't happen is something, again, we are doing at our level, and then that needs to continuously be enhanced. Third thing is government regulation around it, and then following the, really building, working with the entire world to really do something about it. I think these are a few things I would say we need to do. Okay, thank you all.
None is more impoverished than the one who has no gratitude. Gratitude is a currency that we can mint for ourselves and spend without fear of bankruptcy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Shivani Bamboli, on behalf of Balaji Institute of Modern Management, extend my humble gratitude to Mr. Nilesh Gandhi. We, as an audience, have been fortunate enough to listen to an eminent personality like you. Sir, your knowledge, thoughts, experience, and deep insights about the corporate world will definitely help our student managers to overcome the future challenges. I would also like to thank my colleagues, faculty members, and all other associated with the event. Thank you so much.